What is up everyone, welcome back to Lexalexus. Today it is the championship score predictions. We've made it to round 28 and as it stands, for what I know, all 12 games are going ahead. We can start the confetti that things are starting to run a little bit more smoothly, but we don't know, just fingers crossed it stays going ahead, all 12 games at least. We know some of these clubs can cancel it in the last minute, Hull City, but hopefully they should still be going ahead. Now, in terms of the Lexalexus Football Prediction League, check out the latest community tab because I have posted the latest standings. This is when we can really start the competition up and running again. Now, if you guys want to get involved in the Lexalexus Football Prediction League, you only have to simply leave your comments for these championship games in the comments down below. That is how you're going to be entered. It's completely free of charge. It's a bit of a friendly competition. But if you guys like what you see, please do give the video a like. It does tremendously help the support of this channel. Let's try and aim for 15 likes. That'd be absolutely amazing. Please also hit the red subscribe button if you've not done so. We're making a push to 1,000 subscribers. We're within touching distance of that goal. So any subscription now really pushes this channel, you know, with more likelihood of it continuing in the future. And please share this channel to as many people as you can. That is how we're going to grow together as a community. But without any further ado, let's start predicting these weekend's games. So this weekend is a weekend of derbies because we start off with the seven-side derby, Bristol City going up against Cardiff City. Both teams being very inconsistent with their forms, but nothing less so with Cardiff City, who have been winless in their last 5 games. But having said that, I do think Cardiff were a little bit unlucky not to get anything more against Blackburn when they lost by 1-0. I know that they didn't create too much, but they really didn't let Blackburn get into the game that much. So I actually thought managing the game, Cardiff did quite well and they were a little bit unlucky there. Bristol City were in a complete demolishing against Fulham. They did manage to score 2 goals, and actually scoring goals, Bristol City aren't having too much trouble with. They've scored 11 goals in their last 6 games, so they're nearly averaging 2 goals a game. But the problem is they're conceding lots as well. Bristol City have only won 2 games in their last 6. So if they can fix up their defence and they can reintroduce the form that they had going forward, Bristol City can definitely have a really good end to the season. As a prediction, they're facing a Cardiff side who've just not been prolific going forward. Bristol City are really good going forward, but not really good at the back. It's tough because the seven-side derby results are always very tight and they can be very cagey. I just have a bit more faith with Bristol City right now. So as a prediction, I think I'm going to go with a 2-1 home victory to Bristol City. Fifa has gone for a 1-0 win to Bristol City. Next up is the East Midlands derby, Nottingham Forest versus Derby, and who knows, it might actually be the last ever East Midlands derby we could get. The situation at Derby is just not improving, isn't it? We've had multiple statements from the EFL. We've even had a statement from Steve Gibson, who of course is the owner of Middlesbrough. I want to hear something from Wycombe as well to hear what they are involved in these claims that they've got. It's a very messy situation, a lot of finger pointing between fan bases and even the senior ownerships and the administrators. Steve Gibson suggesting that the administrators are not taking enough responsibility to resolve the claims in the situation, and Wycombe, we've not even really heard about what they're going on with them, but definitely the situation with Middlesbrough is very heated at the moment, and it's not really doing well for the fan base as well. And in this situation, to save a club, unity is what's important. If there's going to be division, it's only going to stir the pot and make things worse. The biggest controversy with the EFL is the handling of the claim. Why have they passed it down to Derby now? And that is why the EFL are on complete fire and they're really trying what they can to defend it. There's a lot of mixed messages going on saying that they're determined to keep Derby safe, but then they keep saying these howevers. I know Derby have cheated and I know Mel Morris and the management board are really screwed up, to put it really short, but it shouldn't result in the death of a founding member of the Football League. So that's my slight rant over. But they play a Nottingham Forest side where Forest have done okay. They've actually had a really good recovery after a poor bit of form. They picked up a great win against Millwall and a good FA Cup win over Arsenal, of course. Derby have actually done really well for it. They're unbeaten in 5 and picked up 4 wins in the last 5, and now they're not in the bottom of the table. And they can definitely end this curse of not being able to win in this derby. But against Forest at the City ground, very daunting test. And I think as a prediction, I won't be surprised if Derby can pull off something, but I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I think both these teams will cancel each other out. FIFA is actually going to agree with me. Next up is Birmingham going up against Barnsley. It is the two teams with the longest winning streaks going up against each other. Birmingham winless in 6, Barnsley winless in 8. Now it's interesting with Barnsley because Barnsley have not played for quite a long time. The last game they played was a 2-1 defeat against Blackburn, and that was all the way back in the 29th of December, so over 3 weeks ago in terms of a league game. And of course with their FA Cup game, they were nearly knocked out by a League 2 team in Barrow. So I'm still not having too much confidence with Barnsley going into this game. Birmingham have been disappointing, but I've always just been second best to everything. It's not like that they've been performing too badly. They actually picked up, I think, a really good point away from home against Preston and actually dug very, very well deep in this game. And Scott Hogan, their top goal scorer, has definitely been their star player so far this season. As a prediction, I don't really back any of these teams, but for the fact that Birmingham are at home and Barnsley, at the moment, their morale's not that great. I just don't see them improving all season. They've only picked up 2 wins in 24. I think Birmingham might squeak a win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Birmingham. FIFA has gone for a 1-0 win for Birmingham. Next up is Blackpool and they face Millwall. I'm intrigued about this game as well because Blackpool and Millwall, to be fair, they're on the same amount of points in the table and they're only separated by a couple of positions in the table, and both have been rather inconsistent with their forms as well. So Blackpool have only won 2 of their last 6 games, but so have Millwall. Both have been rather inconsistent, and Millwall, they've actually lost 4 out of their last 6. So they've not even been able to take points or salvage a draw in any of those 6 games either. So Millwall could be very, very careful with this form. And at the moment, with the expectation where, especially Millwall, that they definitely would have been pushing for a top 6, Blackpool with entirely different expectations to stay in the league, I think a little bit more pressure is on this Millwall side. Now, at the moment, I think they're in very, very tight and close games. And I think the thing is with Blackpool, they've not been as prolific as they have been very, very recently. So that could be a hindrance in this game. So as a prediction, I think I'll go for a very narrow 1-0 away victory to Millwall. I don't see this game being a very, very high scoring game. FIFA has gone for a complete opposite of a game that I predicted. A 4-2 win to Blackpool, which I think is absolutely crazy. The next game is Bournemouth against Hull. Now, I'm really struggling to predict this one because Bournemouth had a pretty disappointing defeat against Luton. You know, obviously they still scored 2 goals, which, you know, they still made it very close. But the way that they gave those goals away, you know, I think Luton were on it in that game. But at the same time, the lack of closing people down, I think the pressure could be starting to settle into this Bournemouth side too. Hull is just impossible for me to predict at the moment because Hull have been taken over by a new company, and you know what, I think that could be a boost and a much needed boost to their season as well. They picked up a brilliant win over Blackburn Rovers, who are unbeaten for so long. They managed to pick up a 2-0 win in the end against Blackburn Rovers. I do think Blackburn were a bit for the taking because I do necessarily back them more at home than I do away from home, but despite that, Hull still had a brilliant performance. Now against Bournemouth, I think Hull might have a small chance to get something in this game. I'm very tempted for a draw, but I've always been able to back Bournemouth, and not normally do they let me down with these scorelines. So as a prediction, I'm just going to edge 2-1 to Bournemouth, but I was very close to predict 2-2. FIFA has actually predicted a draw, but a 1-1 draw. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of the results. Next up, we've got Coventry going up against QPR. Both teams who've not lost too many games this season. Both have actually lost only 7 games this season. But obviously in different areas of the table, Coventry have fallen down to 9th. And of course QPR are up in 4th, overtaking West Brom after beating them last weekend. A last minute goal by Charlie Austin as well. And that's definitely going to elevate their chances of being into the top 6 and could even reignite their chances of getting automatically promoted. Especially if they've got 2 games in hand over Blackburn and they're only 5 points behind them. With Coventry, they've got 2 games in hand with most of the teams in the top 6 and they're only 5 points out. But it could be a bit of a false sense of hope, especially if Coventry got to be almost flawless, the same with QPR, to achieve the next stage of their goals in terms of getting, you know, where they want to be in the table. But both teams will be definitely wanting to get something from this game. As a prediction, I'm tempted to say a draw, but I might edge QPR. They've just been able to find a way to still take those good performances despite having a couple of missing players due to AFCON. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to QPR, and Fifa's going to say 2-0 away win to QPR. Next, we've got Reading going up against Huddersfield Town. Something couldn't go anything worse for Reading. They're 22 points and 21st place in the table. They're lucky that the bottom three have not really performed well, you know, probably minus Derby this year. They are only 3 points ahead of Peterborough. And really, if they don't pick up a win soon, they're really going to be under pressure. And it's looking very messy as well with their contract situation. They face a Huddersfield side who are in dreamland at the moment, unbeaten in 7 games. The joint highest unbeaten run in the league so far. So Huddersfield definitely an in-form team. What has been a bit disappointing for them is that they've actually drawn their last 2 games, have not been able to pick up a win. Although, they're 2 tough games. I think they were happy with a 0-0 draw against Blackburn, but the Swansea game was a little bit disappointing. I definitely feel with the fact they took the lead, but then they gave the lead away. I think that was a little bit disappointing, but they face a Reading side, which I would be very surprised if Huddersfield do not rise their game for this. Reading could give them a game. I think they still got some goal threat, but I don't even know what to even comment about their back line. They've conceded so many goals recently, and I think that trend will continue. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-0 away victory to Huddersfield Town. FIFA has actually gone for 0-0. Next up, we've got Sheffield United going up against Luton. Now, a very typical mid-table battle because it's 12th going up against 11th. And both teams with their games in hand probably an outside bet to get into the top 6, especially if they have a really good run to the end of the season. Now, Sheffield United have not been able to win their last 2 games after having a completely flawless one under Paul Heckingbottom. They lost against Derby, of course, recently, and they managed to draw their last game against Preston after taking a 2-0 lead, and they had a man advantage as well. So they'll be very, very disappointed with that performance. Both teams playing in midweek, so potentially both teams will be at the same level in terms of sharpness. Luton, of course, picked up a 2-0 away win against Reading in midweek. So I definitely think Luton at the moment, with being 4 games unbeaten, 3 wins out of their last 4, I definitely think they're going to be very, very confident getting into this game. And last time I actually played against each other, I think it was a draw, but I think a very dull 0-0 draw. With this game, I would hope to see Sheffield United improve their attacking play. Luton definitely can offer a lot as well. As a prediction, I really want to back a team to win, but I'm too cowardly to do it. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. FIFA has gone for a 1-0 away win to Luton, which will be a huge result for Luton. Next up is Stoke versus Fulham. I mean, what scoreline can we predict for this one? Stoke are a team, since they got those news transfers in, that they performed quite well. They got a very comfortable 2-0 win over Hull City, and they looked really good in that game. A lot of their new signings. Baker looked good when he came on. Harwood Bellis looked good at their back line in their debut as well. So I'm really encouraged that these new transfers are going to add an extra depth to Stoke, and they can actually paper the cracks in terms of their injured players. But they face a Fulham side, which they've scored 19 goals in their last 3, and that is more goals than Barnsley in 24 games this season. It's incredible for what one team can do. They're already on 70 goals this season. Fulham, they are averaging at least 3 goals a game. And for this game, who knows what scoreline. I mean, Stoke typically are a team that don't concede many. Oh, this is so difficult to predict. You know what? I'm going to go for goal frenzy. I'm going to say Stoke will have a moment, but I'm going to say Fulham will have a couple more moments. So I'm going to go for a crazy 4-2 away victory to Fulham. And FIFA is actually going to go for a Fulham win as well. And this time, a 5-0 away win. Honestly, who knows how Fulham are going to do again, but they are a really entertaining team. Next up is Swansea going up against Preston. Now, both of these teams, for me, I think are a little bit on the up. So Swansea are actually winless in their last 4. But I think that away draw against Huddersfield was a really good performance from them. What I started to notice more is that they're actually taking more shots outside of the box and actually testing the goalkeepers of the opposition a little bit more now. And with the recent transfer of Hannes Wolf, I'll be very interested to see if he makes a start in this game. I am really excited to potentially see what he can do in that midfield. Now with Preston, they've actually gone on an unbeaten run since Ryan Lowe's come in. 4 games unbeaten, albeit 2 draws. But They definitely had a well-deserved draw in the end. A 2-2 draw against Sheffield United. Went down to 10 men. And that comeback, that grit we see from Preston was missing this entire season. And we've probably not seen that sort of performance probably since the reverse fixture they played against Sheffield United in that game. So hopefully Rhino can take that going forward. But as a prediction for this game, I might edge Preston for the fact they're unbeaten. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory. I mean, why not? I think Preston are good enough to get a 2-1 away win. FIFA, on the other hand, has gone for a 3-1 win to Swansea. So very contrasting results, FIFA tonight. Next up is West Brom versus Peterborough. Now, surely West Brom should get something from this game. So West Brom are winless in 4, which is amazing considering that they are a team in the top 6. Right now, they're joint on points with Middlesbrough. They could fall out of the top 6 this game week if results don't go their way. They're facing a Peterborough side who've only picked up 3 away points all season. They've only scored 6 away goals. Surely, this should be West Brom's game to lose. They have to win. If they do not get anything more than a win in this game, Ishmael has got to be asked serious questions. With the signings he's got in and the squad players he's got available, he's not even got a big injury crisis to worry about. He has got to really get starting to churn results in this West Brom team. It's unacceptable if they cannot beat this team. I've probably been very dismissive to Peterborough, but when it's been called upon, they are so unreliable, especially away from home. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for still a pretty nervy 2-1 home victory to West Brom. FIFA has gone for a 0-0 draw. And then finally, the game to predict on the Monday is Blackburn versus Middlesbrough. Now, I think Blackburn got a little bit stitched up in this game because I think Ben Brereton Diaz, there's a little bit of doubt he won't be available because Chile need him for World Cup qualifiers. Now, if this game was a weekend game, like a Saturday or a Sunday game, Ben Brereton Diaz would definitely 100% be available, but because it's a Monday night game, not even a Sunday night game, which they sometimes do, it's a Monday night game. So that's a real doubt that they'll have Ben Brereton Diaz available. They could probably still have him, but it's very likely he won't be available. But they still have reliable players that can chip in goals like Joe Rothwell and John Buckley, who I do think get underappreciated a little bit, and of course Jan Dando, who I think deserves a shout out as well. But they face a Middlesbrough side who are unbeaten in 7, the most in-form team in the Championship right now. So this is a really, really interesting dynamic game. So Middlesbrough can definitely close the gap to Blackburn, and actually they can really start securing their place in the top 6 if they continue this form for a good couple of games. As a prediction, I would not be surprised if 1 goal edges it, but I'm going to go for a little bit of a topsy-turvy game. I wouldn't be surprised actually if one team scores first and we have a comeback and then one team pegs them back again and it's a draw. I'm going to go for a very entertaining 2-2 draw. I think both sides will go gun-ho, but that will also cost them at times at the back. So I'll go for 2-2. FIFA's gone for 0-0. But that will wrap it up for my round 28 championship score predictions. Remember guys, make sure you predict your predictions in the comments down below. And finally, before I end the video, on the left hand side of the screen are my Premier League predictions. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It does tremendously help the channel. Please hit the subscribe button if you've not done so. It does really help the growth of the channel. And please share the channel to as many people as you can. That is how we're going to grow together as a community. But I'll wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you're still in this video. And as always, I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care, everyone.